The restaurant was empty. Elliott Avenue, Seattle. One of those places tourists walk past on their way to somewhere better. The kind of spot where the paint peels near the doorframe and the neon sign flickers when it rains, which in Seattle means always. Inside, the last table had been cleared an hour ago. The kitchen staff had clocked out. The managers were gone. But one person remained, Melinda. She moved between tables like she was dancing with ghosts. Slow, careful. Her sneakers made no sound on the worn tile. Grey hair escaped from a bun that had given up hours earlier. Her back curved forward just enough that you'd notice if you were paying attention. No one ever paid attention. She folded cloth napkins into triangles, not because anyone asked, because it mattered to her. Each crease lined up perfectly, each corner met at the exact same angle. Across the street, someone was watching. But before we dive in, don't just watch. Please hit the subscribe button. I'm still fighting my way to our first 1,000 subscribers, and every single click truly keeps this channel alive. And tell me in the comment where in the world you are watching from. Your support inspires us to keep creating more emotional stories of resilience, healing, and kindness. William Jack sat alone in his car, engine off, windows fogging from the rain. He wasn't supposed to be here. He had a penthouse waiting downtown, a schedule packed tighter than luggage heading to Europe, meetings in the morning that would determine whether his company expanded into Portland or Phoenix. But he couldn't leave. Not yet. He watched Melinda check every salt shaker, twist each cap, wipe down surfaces that were already clean. She moved like someone who'd been doing this so long, her body didn't need her brain anymore. A younger server burst through the kitchen doors, laughing into her phone. She grabbed her purse from behind the counter, didn't even glance at Melinda, and was gone in seconds. Melinda kept wiping. William leaned forward. His breath clouded the windshield. He'd built an empire that started in this exact building. 20 years ago, this place was his. One waterfront diner with 6 tables and a dream that people said was too small to matter. Now he had 12 locations, staff in the hundreds, a name that showed up in Forbes once a year whether he wanted it to or not. But tonight, none of that felt real. What felt real was the woman inside, working a shift that had ended an hour ago, getting paid for time she'd never clock. The manager appeared near the door. Young guy, mid-20s, probably made assistant manager because he showed up on time. "Melinda, you can go," he called out, already halfway through the door himself. She looked up. "Almost done." "It's fine. Just lock up when you're finished." He didn't wait for an answer. The door swung shut behind him. His car was gone 2 minutes later. Melinda returned to the tables. William's jaw tightened. He'd seen her here before, dozens of times, maybe hundreds. She'd worked this restaurant longer than he'd owned the company. Her name was on the original employee roster from 1998. He'd seen it once in an old file. 27 years. She never called in sick, never asked for time off, never caused problems. She was the kind of employee people called reliable, which was another way of saying invisible. A couple had left $3 on a $47 check earlier that night. William saw it happen, watched Melinda collect the bills and coins, fold them carefully, and tuck them into her apron pocket without expression. No frustration, no disappointment, just acceptance. That was the part that bothered him most. The lights inside dimmed. Melinda emerged a few minutes later, pausing under the awning to zip up a jacket that looked older than some of the cars parked on the street. The rain had picked up, heavy drops that sounded like gravel hitting metal. She didn't run, didn't pull out a phone to call a ride. She just started walking, south, away from the bus stops, away from the train station, away from anything that made sense. William's hand hovered over the ignition. This was none of his business. She was a grown woman. She had her reasons. He had a board meeting at 7 in the morning and an investor call before that. He should go home. He turned the key. The engine purred to life. And then, without deciding to, he followed her. If stories like this matter to you, the ones about people we walk past every day without seeing, then stay close. We share these moments every single week. Not for clicks, because they're true, and because someone needs to tell them. Melinda walked like she had nowhere else to be. Not slow, not fast, just steady. William kept 2 car lengths behind, headlights off, feeling ridiculous and unable to stop. The rain turned the streets into black mirrors. Storefronts reflected neon reds and blues from signs advertising cocktails and late-night tacos. She never looked back. Not once. The neighborhood changed every 10 blocks. Glass buildings became brick apartments. Coffee shops, with names like Luna and Ember, gave way to check-cashing spots and corner markets with bars on the windows. Melinda walked through all of it like she was on a path only she could see. William checked the time. 20 minutes. 30. His phone buzzed. A text from his assistant asking if he'd reviewed the contract revisions. He ignored it. They passed a bus stop. Empty. The next one wouldn't come for another 40 minutes. Melinda didn't even glance at the schedule. She just kept walking. At 35th, she stopped. William's heart jumped. He eased his car against the curb. Half a block back, a man sat on the sidewalk under a tattered blue tarp. Shopping cart beside him. Cardboard sign that read, "Veteran. Anything helps." Melinda reached into her jacket. William watched her pull out a small paper bag. The one she'd brought from the restaurant, her dinner. The one she never ate during her shift because she said she wasn't hungry. She handed it to the man. He looked up, said something William couldn't hear. Melinda smiled. Not the polite smile she gave customers. A real one, the kind that reaches the eyes. Then she gave him her umbrella. Walked away into the rain with nothing covering her head. William's chest tightened. The blocks grew darker. Streetlights flickered or didn't work at all. Graffiti marked walls that used to be white. He recognized this area from city reports. South Seattle, one of the neighborhoods investors called transitional, which meant poor people lived there and rich people wanted them gone. Melinda didn't seem afraid. She walked past a group of teenagers on a corner. They nodded at her. One called out, "Night, Miss M." She waved. They knew her. 40 minutes in, William's hands ached from gripping the steering wheel. His shirt stuck to his back even though the heat wasn't on. This was wrong. Following someone like this, he knew it was wrong, but he couldn't turn around. Not until he understood. They reached Rainier Avenue just before 9. Melinda turned down a side street where the houses sat close together, paint peeling, chain-link fences separating tiny yards from cracked sidewalks. She stopped in front of a duplex, the kind of building landlords buy in cash and rent out for twice what it's worth. Beige siding that might have been white once. Front steps made of cinder blocks. A door that didn't quite fit the frame. Melinda pulled out her keys. William pulled over 3 houses down, engine still running, wipers on low. She unlocked the door, stepped inside, and then the lights came on. Movement. Everywhere. Small shadows rushed toward the door. Not one, not two, too many to count. William's breath caught. Children. The door swung wider for just a moment, long enough for him to see a boy slide across the floor in socks, arms spread wide. A girl with pigtails jumped up and down. Another child, older, maybe a teenager, stood in the background with arms crossed, watching. Melinda dropped to her knees, still in her wet jacket, still in her work uniform, and every single one of those kids reached for her like she was the only thing keeping them alive. William sat frozen. His mind raced through explanations. Family, grandkids, neighbors. None of it made sense. The door closed, but the lights stayed on. He could see shapes moving past the windows. Melinda's silhouette guiding smaller ones toward a table. She never took off her jacket, just started moving through the house, touching shoulders, handing out what looked like snacks from her bag. William counted windows. 7 children, maybe more. The rain hammered his windshield. He should leave. This was her private life, her business. But something stopped him. An hour passed. The lights in the front room dimmed. A softer glow came from what must have been the kitchen. Through the thin curtains, William saw Melinda sitting at a table, alone now, papers spread in front of her. She held her head in her hands. Her shoulders shook, not from cold, from something much worse. William's phone buzzed again. Another text, another meeting, another decision that would make him richer and change nothing that mattered. He looked at the duplex, at the woman inside who'd just walked 40 minutes in the rain to feed children who weren't hers. And for the first time in 20 years, William Jack felt something he'd forgotten existed. Shame. How many people do you walk past every single day and never really see? The one cleaning your office, the face you pass on the sidewalk without a second thought. Melinda was invisible for 27 years, right there, working, surviving, loving kids nobody else wanted, and no one noticed, not even the man who owned the building. If that just hit you differently, maybe you're ready to see things differently too. William didn't sleep that night. He sat in his penthouse with all the lights off, staring at the city below. Seattle glowed like someone had spilled diamonds across black velvet. From up here, everything looked clean, organized, beautiful. From up here, you couldn't see Melinda's duplex, couldn't see the water stains on the ceiling or the duct tape holding the sofa together, couldn't see 7 children who depended on a 68-year-old waitress making $11 an hour. He'd gone back, not inside, just back. Parked across the street at 6 in the morning and watched the house wake up, lights clicking on one room at a time, shadows moving behind curtains. Then the front door opened and they poured out like water from a broken dam. Melinda stood on the porch, handing out lunch bags. Brown paper, folded at the top, each one labeled with a name written in marker. The kids scattered in different directions, some toward the bus stop, others walking in pairs. The oldest boy, the one who'd stood in the background the night before, waited until everyone else left. Then he said something to Melinda that made her laugh. A real laugh. The kind William hadn't heard in his own home in years. Then the boy left too, and Melinda went back inside. 15 minutes later, she emerged again. Same faded jacket, same worn sneakers. She locked the door 3 times, checked it twice, then started the long walk back to Elliott Avenue. William followed her all the way to work. Watched her clock in exactly on time. Watched her tie her apron and slip into the rhythm of breakfast service like the past 40 minutes of walking didn't exist. She smiled at customers, refilled coffee without being asked, moved between tables with the same quiet precision she'd shown the night before, and no one noticed her. Not the couple arguing over the check, not the businessman on his laptop ignoring his eggs, not the family of 4 who let their toddler throw Cheerios on the floor while Melinda bent down, back aching, knees probably screaming to clean it up. She thanked them when they left. They didn't tip. William sat in a corner booth with cold coffee and a newspaper he wasn't reading. He needed answers. By noon, he had a plan. Not a good one. Maybe not even a legal one. But he had to know. He called his operations manager from the car. "I need Melinda Hargrove's employee file." Silence on the other end. "Sir, you heard me. The waitress at Elliott Avenue. I need her file on my desk in an hour. Is there a problem with—" "Just get it." He hung up. The file arrived 53 minutes later. Thin. Too thin for someone who'd worked 27 years. William opened it. Name: Melinda Jean Hargrove. Age: 68. Hired: March 1998. Position: server. Wage: $11, hour plus tips. Hours: 52. Week across double shifts. Sick days used: 0. Vacation days used: 0. Disciplinary actions: 0. There was a note paper clipped to the inside cover, handwritten, dated 3 months ago. Employee requested salary advance. Denied per company policy. Reason given: emergency household expenses. No further details provided. William's stomach turned. He kept reading. Insurance status: declined employee stated. Can't afford deductions. Emergency contact: none listed. Next of kin: none listed. Another note, different handwriting, from a manager who'd left the company 2 years ago. Melinda often takes home damaged food items, dented cans, day-old bread, bruised produce from kitchen. Confirmed with staff, this is not theft. She asks permission first. Approved to continue. William closed the file, sat back in his chair, stared at nothing. She was making $28,000 a year, before taxes, working 52 hours a week with no benefits and no safety net. And somehow, she was raising 7 children on it. He picked up his phone, made a call he should have made years ago. County Social Services. How may I direct your call? I need to speak to someone about foster care placements. Are you looking to become a foster parent, sir? No, I'm looking for information about an existing caregiver. Melinda Hargrove, South Seattle. A pause. Sir, I can't release information about private citizens without— I'm not asking for private information. I'm asking if she's in your system, if children are being placed with her, if she's licensed. Another pause. Longer this time. Hold, please. 3 minutes passed. A different voice came on the line. Older, tired. This is Director Chen. Who am I speaking with? William gave his name, his title, waited for the recognition to click. It did. Mr. Jack, I apologize for the wait. You're asking about Melinda Hargrove? Yes. May I ask why? She works for me. I'm concerned about her well-being. A long exhale on the other end. Mr. Jack, I can't share details about active cases, but I can tell you this. Melinda Hargrove is known to our office. She's not a licensed foster parent. She's what we call an emergency kinship placement. Meaning? Meaning when we have a child in crisis and know where to send them, we call her. She takes them in. No questions, no complaints, no demands. William's hand tightened around the phone. How many children is she currently housing? I can't confirm. How many? Silence. Then quietly, 7, last I checked. But it changes. Sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 9. Depends on the month. And you're paying her for this? We provide a stipend for licensed foster homes. Melinda isn't licensed. She refuses the paperwork. Says it takes too long, and kids need help now. So, she's doing this for free. She's doing it on a waitress salary, Mr. Jack. Which, between you and me, is why I'm worried. We got a notice 2 weeks ago that her landlord filed for eviction. Rent's 2 months behind. The room spun. 2 months? She never asked us for help, never told us she was struggling. We only found out because the landlord contacted us looking for the kids' caseworkers. William couldn't breathe. If she's evicted, those children go back into the system, split up, different homes. Some might not get placed at all. How is that possible? Mr. Jack, we have 300 kids in King County waiting for placement right now. 300. We don't have enough homes. We don't have enough money. We don't have enough people who give a damn. The line went quiet. Melinda gives a damn, Director Chen said finally. She's been giving a damn for 6 years, and if we lose her, I don't know what happens to those kids. William ended the call. Sat in his office as the sun set over Elliott Bay. Numbers ran through his head. Not profit margins or quarterly projections. Different numbers. 7 kids. 52 hours a week. $11 an hour. $28,000 a year. 2 months behind on rent. 0 safety net. 0 recognition. 0 help. He thought about his last vacation. 10 days in Maui. Oceanfront villa. Private chef. Cost $42,000. He thought about his car. Custom Tesla. Bought on a Tuesday because he felt like it. Cost $115,000. He thought about Melinda kneeling on that floor, still in her wet jacket, hugging children who had no one else. And he thought about himself, sitting in this office, in this building, built on a dream that started with one restaurant where people mattered. Where had that gone? When had he stopped seeing people and started seeing numbers? His phone buzzed. A text from his assistant. Board meeting moved to 8 a.m. tomorrow. Investor wants FaceTime. William didn't respond. He stood up, grabbed his coat, and walked out of the office with a plan that would either save Melinda's life or make him look like a fool. He didn't care which. The restaurant was packed. Friday lunch rush. Every table full. Orders backed up in the kitchen. Servers moving like they were being timed. William stood near the host stand, watching. No one recognized him. He'd left the suit at home, wore jeans and a jacket that didn't scream owner. Blended into the crowd like any other customer waiting for a table. But he wasn't here to eat. He was here to see if what he suspected was true. Melinda appeared from the kitchen carrying 3 plates balanced on her arms, not the way younger servers did it, flashy, showing off. She carried them low, steady, like each plate was something precious. She delivered them to a table near the window. 4 college kids barely looked up from their phones. "Anything else I can get you?" she asked. One of them waved her off without speaking. Melinda smiled anyway, moved to the next table. William tracked her for 20 minutes. She was handling 4 tables. Alone. 3 other servers were on the floor, younger, faster, louder. They each had 2 tables. Melinda had 4. No one seemed to notice the imbalance. A man at table 7 snapped his fingers, loud, sharp. "Hey, lady, we need more water." Melinda turned, walked over with a pitcher she'd already been carrying. "Of course. I'm so sorry for the wait." She wasn't slow. She hadn't made them wait, but she apologized anyway. William's jaw clenched. A younger server, blonde, early 20s, name tag that said Bree, passed Melinda near the kitchen doors. "You're backing up table 12, Bree said without stopping. Melinda glanced toward table 12, an elderly couple sitting patiently with empty water glasses. "I've got it," Melinda said. "Well, hurry up." Some of us have actual sections to manage. Bree disappeared into the kitchen. Melinda refilled the couple's water, asked how their meal was, listened while they told her about their anniversary. She didn't rush them, didn't check her watch, just listened. When she walked away, the woman squeezed her husband's hand and said something William couldn't hear. But he saw the man nod, saw him pull out his wallet when the check came, saw him leave $8 on a $32 bill. Not great, but more than most. Melinda collected it with the same quiet gratitude she showed everyone, folded the bills carefully, tucked them into her apron. William waited until her break. She stepped out the back door into the alley, sat on an overturned crate, pulled a sandwich from her bag, not from the restaurant, something she'd made at home. He approached slowly. She looked up, didn't recognize him at first. Then her eyes widened slightly. Mr. Jack. He'd met her twice. Once during an employee appreciation event 3 years ago where he shook 200 hands and remembered 0 names. Once during a health inspection where she'd been wiping down tables in the background. She remembered him. He didn't know why that made him feel worse. "Melinda," he said, "can I ask you something?" She stood up, brushed crumbs off her apron. "Of course. Is something wrong?" "No, I wanted to ask why you still work here." Her face softened, confused but polite. "I don't understand. You've been here 27 years. You work doubles. You never take time off. Why?" She looked down at her sandwich, half-eaten, wrapped back up in plastic wrap. "Because people still need to eat," she said simply. "And I still need to help." "That's not an answer. It's the only one I have." William stepped closer. "Do you have family, Melinda? People who depend on you?" Her expression shifted, just slightly, a door closing behind her eyes. "I have what I need. That's not what I asked." She met his gaze, steady, unafraid. "Mr. Jack, I appreciate your concern, but I'm fine, really." She wasn't fine. He could see it in the way she stood, weight shifted to one leg because the other probably ached, in the way her hands trembled slightly when she picked up her sandwich, in the lines around her eyes that came from years of smiling through exhaustion. But she wouldn't say it, wouldn't admit it, because people like Melinda didn't ask for help. They just kept walking. William nodded. "Okay, I just wanted to check. Thank you." She went back inside. He stayed in the alley, pulled out his phone, made 3 calls. First, his lawyer. "I need you to draft something. Corporate foundation. Full non-profit status. I want it operational in 2 weeks. Second, his CFO. Liquidate the Miami property. Yes, all of it. I don't care about market timing. I need the cash in 30 days. Third, a construction company he'd worked with before. I'm sending you an address. I need a full renovation. 7 bedrooms, accessible. Budget is irrelevant. Timeline is 3 weeks. Mr. Jack, 3 weeks for a full renovation is, then work faster." He hung up, stood in that alley behind the restaurant where everything started, and for the first time in decades, William Jack felt like he was building something that mattered. Monday morning. The restaurant opened at 6. Melinda clocked in at 5:58. William watched from his car across the street. He'd been there since 5:30. Coffee cold in the cup holder, eyes burning from lack of sleep. He'd spent the weekend reviewing every detail of Melinda's life he could find without crossing into illegal territory. Property records. She rented. Month-to-month lease. Behind on payments. Credit report. He shouldn't have accessed this. Did anyway. Maxed out cards. Medical debt from 2019. Nothing current. Nothing new. Like she'd stopped borrowing because she knew she couldn't pay it back. Bank account. Also shouldn't have accessed. Also did. 1 checking account. Balance. $473. Grocery receipts. Submitted for reimbursement through a company program for employees who shopped for restaurant supplies on their own time. Melinda bought rice, beans, pasta, peanut butter, bulk, cheap, efficient. She was feeding 7 children on $15 a day. William had spent more than that on a single cup of coffee last Tuesday. He got out of the car, walked into the restaurant. The morning rush hadn't started yet. A few early commuters, one guy reading the Times, a woman on her laptop. Melinda was setting tables. William sat at the counter. She appeared a moment later with a coffee pot and a smile that looked like it cost her something. "Good morning. Coffee? Please." She poured. Didn't spill a drop even though her hands shook slightly. "Menus on the board. I'll give you a minute." She turned to leave. "Melinda." She stopped, looked back. Yes? Sit with me. Her eyes widened. I'm working. I know. Sit anyway. Mr. Jack. I can't. I'm the owner. You can. She hesitated, glanced toward the kitchen. The morning cook wasn't watching. No one was. Slowly, she sat on the stool beside him. Am I in trouble? She asked quietly. No. Then why? I followed you home last Thursday. The color drained from her face. What? I followed you. Watched you walk 40 minutes in the rain. Watched you go inside a duplex with 7 children who aren't yours. And I need to know why you never told anyone. Her mouth opened. Nothing came out. I'm not angry, William said. I'm trying to understand. She looked down at her hands, fingers twisted together. They needed someone, she said finally. That's all. That's not all. You're working yourself to death for kids who aren't your responsibility. They became my responsibility the moment no one else would take them. Why you? She looked up, eyes wet but fierce. Because I was there. Because I had space. Because I knew what it felt like to be the kid no one wanted. The words hung between them. You were in foster care, William said, for 11 years, 15 different homes, some okay, most not. I aged out at 18 with $200 and a garbage bag full of clothes I didn't own. She wiped her eyes quickly. I swore if I ever had the chance to do it differently for even one kid, I would. Then 1 became 2, 2 became 5, now it's 7, and I don't regret a single one of them. Even though you're losing your home? Her face crumpled. How did you? I made some calls. You had no right. I had every right. You work for me. That makes you my responsibility. I don't need charity. Good, because that's not what this is. He slid a business card across the counter. Friday, 2 o'clock, my office downtown. Don't be late. She stared at the card like it might explode. Why? Because people still need to eat, and you still need to help. But you can't help anyone if you collapse first. He stood, left a $50 bill under his untouched coffee cup, walked out before she could argue. That line. They became my responsibility the moment no one else would take them. How many of us have ever said something like that? How many of us have chosen the harder road because it was the right one? Not for recognition, not for reward, just because someone had to. Melinda didn't ask to be a hero. She just refused to look away. Maybe that's what real heroism is. What would you sacrifice for someone who had no claim on you except their need? Think about it. Friday came too fast. Melinda stood outside the North Sound Hospitality Tower at 1:45, 15 minutes early, because she'd always been 15 minutes early to everything. The building was glass and steel, 30 stories of wealth she couldn't comprehend. People in suits walked past her like she was furniture. She wore her best outfit, a navy dress from Goodwill that still had the original tags when she bought it for $6. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. She'd barely slept all week, kept replaying the conversation at the counter, kept wondering what William wanted, what this meeting meant. Had she broken some rule she didn't know existed? Was he firing her? Would she lose the only income keeping those kids fed? At 1:58, she walked through the revolving doors. The lobby stretched up 3 floors, marble everywhere. A fountain in the center that probably cost more than her annual salary. The security desk sat like a throne in front of the elevators. Can I help you? The guard didn't look up from his computer. I have a meeting with Mr. Jack at 2. Now he looked up, scanned her dress, her worn shoes, the purse she'd owned since 2003. Name? Melinda Hargrove. He typed, frowned, typed again. You're not in the system. Her stomach dropped. I was told to be here at 2. He gave me his card. Ma'am, if you're not in the system, I can't let you up. Please, I can call him. I can... Security policy. No exceptions. The elevator dinged behind him. A woman stepped out. Young, professional, tablet in hand. Melinda Hargrove? Melinda turned. Yes? I'm Sarah, Mr. Jack's assistant. I apologize, there was a miscommunication with security. She shot the guard a look that could have stripped paint. Please, come with me. The elevator ride took 30 seconds and felt like 30 years. Sarah made small talk, asked about the weather, mentioned traffic. Melinda couldn't form words. The doors opened on the 28th floor. The hallway was silent, carpeted, art on the walls that probably had names she'd never heard of. Sarah led her to a conference room at the end of the hall. Mr. Jack will be right with you. Can I get you anything? Water? Coffee? I'm fine, Sarah smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. He'll just be a moment. She left. Melinda stood in the center of the room. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Elliott Bay. Ferries cut white lines through blue water. The restaurant where she worked was somewhere down there, invisible from this height. The door opened behind her. She turned. William walked in, but he wasn't alone. Two people followed him. A woman in a grey suit carrying a leather folder, a man with rolled-up blueprints under his arm. Melinda's breathing went shallow. Melinda. William's voice was softer than she remembered. Thank you for coming. Please, sit. I'd rather stand. Then I'll stand too. He didn't sit behind the desk, stood beside it instead. The woman and man hung back near the windows. Melinda, William said slowly, I followed you home that night because I needed to understand something I'd been too blind to see. And what I found, it's been haunting me every day since. Her throat tightened. I didn't do anything wrong. I know. That's the problem. You've been doing everything right, and no one's been helping you do it. He gestured to the woman. This is Catherine. She's an attorney. And that's Marcus. He's an architect. Melinda looked between them, confused, terrified. I don't understand. William took a breath. I'm launching something new. A program. The North Sound Care Kitchens. It's designed to employ caregivers like you people who are taking care of children, working full-time, doing the impossible on wages that make it impossible. He stepped closer. We're going to provide full salaries, benefits, housing assistance, meal programs for the kids. Everything you've been doing alone, we're going to support. Melinda's knees went weak. Why? Because you shouldn't have to choose between feeding yourself and feeding them. Because the system's broken and someone needs to fix it. And because, his voice cracked, because I've spent 20 years building restaurants and forgot why people need them in the first place. You reminded me. Catherine stepped forward, opened the folder. Miss Hargrove, we'd like to offer you a position as the program director. You'd oversee operations, help us identify other caregivers who need support, design meal programs. You'd be the heart of this. She slid papers across the table. Melinda's vision blurred. I'm not qualified. I'm just a waitress. You're not just anything, William said firmly. You're the most qualified person I know. Marcus unrolled the blueprints on the table. Your housing situation, he said gently. We've purchased a property, South Seattle, 4 bedrooms currently, but we're renovating. 7 bedrooms when we're done, 2 full bathrooms, accessible features, full kitchen, backyard. It's yours. No rent, no mortgage. Yours. Melinda grabbed the edge of the table. I can't accept. You're not accepting charity, William interrupted. You're accepting a job. You'll earn this, every bit of it. Catherine pointed to a number on the contract. Your annual salary, plus benefits, health, dental, vision, for you and every child in your care. Melinda looked at the number. Read it 3 times. Her legs gave out. She sank into the chair she'd refused earlier. $65,000, plus benefits, plus housing, plus meal support. This isn't real, she whispered. It's real, William said. And it starts today. She looked up at him, tears streaming down her face. Why me? Because you walked 40 minutes in the rain. Because you gave your dinner to a stranger. Because you never complained, never quit, never stopped caring. Because... He swallowed hard. Because I needed someone to show me what courage looks like. And you did, every single day. Melinda covered her face with her hands. 27 years of holding it together. 27 years of being strong. It all broke at once. She sobbed. Not quiet tears. Full, shaking sobs that came from somewhere so deep she'd forgotten it existed. Catherine knelt beside her. Didn't touch her. Just stayed close. You don't have to decide right now, she said softly. Yes, I do. Melinda lowered her hands. Yes, I accept. All of it. Yes. William smiled. Really smiled. Then welcome to North Sound Care Kitchens, Director Hargrove. The conference room felt smaller now, warmer. Like the walls had moved closer when Melinda said yes. Catherine handed her tissues. Marcus poured water from a pitcher no one had noticed earlier. William sat across from her now, no desk between them. There's more, he said. Melinda laughed. Wet, broken. How can there be more? The house. It's ready in 3 weeks. But your current situation, the eviction that's handled. Your landlord's been paid through the end of the year. You have time to pack, Time to prepare the kids. The kids, Melinda breathed. They don't know I'm here. They think I'm working a double. Do you need to call them? She checked her watch. Old Timex with a cracked face. They're at school. Marcus, the oldest, he watches them after. Make sure homework gets done. Make sure they eat. How old is Marcus? 16. William's jaw tightened. 16. And he's been raising 6 other kids while you worked. He's a good boy. They're all good. They just needed someone to believe that. Catherine pulled out another folder, thicker than the first. We'll need legal documentation for each child. Custody arrangements, medical histories, school records. It'll take time, but we have attorneys who specialize in foster care and kinship placements. They'll handle everything. Will the state try to take them? Not if we do this right. You'll be officially licensed. The home will be inspected and approved before you move in. Everything by the book. No one can question it. Melinda nodded, processing, still not quite believing. Marcus, the architect, spread the blueprints wider. I want to show you the layout. You should know what we're building. He pointed to rooms labeled in neat handwriting. Master bedroom here, for you, attached bathroom. The other bedrooms are here, here, and here. 2 on the main floor for younger kids or anyone with mobility issues. 4 upstairs. We're adding a study room here, big table, good lighting, bookshelves, and the kitchen. He smiled. The kitchen's going to be special. Double ovens, industrial fridge, island with seating for 10. You're going to be feeding a lot of people. We're making sure you have the space to do it right. Melinda traced the lines with her finger. There's a backyard, small one. But yes, fenced, safe. They've never had a backyard. Her voice broke again. David, the little one with the leg brace, he loves being outside. But there's nowhere safe for him to play. Nowhere he can just be a kid. He'll have that now, Marcus said quietly. William leaned forward. Melinda, I need you to understand something. This isn't a favor. This is how it should have been from the start. You've been carrying weight that should have been shared by dozens of people. The system failed those kids, and it failed you. This is us trying to make that right. You don't owe me anything. Yes, I do. I owe you 27 years of being seen, of being valued, of being treated like the person you are instead of the position you held. Catherine closed her folder. There's a press event planned for the program launch. In 3 months. You don't have to be there if you don't want to. But people should know what you've done, what you're doing. No. Melinda's response was instant. I'm not doing this for attention. I'm doing it because they need help. I know. But other people need to see it's possible. That one person can make a difference. You could inspire. I could inspire them by doing the work. Not by standing in front of cameras. William nodded. Then that's what you'll do. No press, no stage, just the work. Relief flooded Melinda's face. Thank you. There's one condition, William said. Her face tensed. What? I want to meet them. The kids. I want to understand what we're supporting, not as a boss, as someone who needs to see it. Melinda studied him, looking for something. Doubt, maybe. Insincerity. She didn't find it. Sunday, she said. Come Sunday. 2 o'clock. They'll be home. I'll be there. Catherine and Marcus gathered their things, shook Melinda's hand, congratulated her, left quietly. William stayed. Can I ask you something? Melinda said. Anything. That night you followed me. Why didn't you just ask? Why go through all this? He was quiet for a long moment. Because people like you don't ask for help. You've spent your whole life being invisible so other people could be seen. And I needed to see for myself what that looked like, what it cost. And now? Now I can't unsee it. And I don't want to. She stood, straightened her dress. I should get back. My shift starts in an hour. No, it doesn't. She blinked. What? You don't work the floor anymore. You're officially on salary as of today. Take the week. Rest. Be with the kids. Start packing. We'll handle everything else. I don't know how to not work. Then learn. You've earned it. She walked to the door, stopped, turned back. Mr. Jack? William. Please. William. She tested the name. I just didn't want them sleeping in cars. His eyes burned. And you never should have had to choose. She left. William stayed in the conference room for an hour after, looking at those blueprints, thinking about 7 kids he'd never met, and one woman who'd saved them without ever asking to be saved herself. Sunday, 2 o'clock. William parked in front of the duplex he'd watched from a distance weeks ago. Up close, it looked worse. Siding warped from rain, gutter hanging loose on one side, steps that wobbled when you put weight on them. But the yard was clean, toys organized in a plastic bin, chalk drawings on the sidewalk. A basketball hoop bent, rusty nailed above the garage door. Signs of life, signs of care. He knocked. The door opened immediately. A teenage boy stood there, tall, thin, eyes that had seen too much too soon. "You, Mr. Jack?" "I am. You must be Marcus." "Yeah." They stared at each other. "Miss Melinda said you were coming. She's in the kitchen. You can come in." Marcus stepped aside. William walked into controlled chaos. Two girls identical sat on the floor building something out of Legos. A boy with a leg brace lay on the couch reading a book that looked too advanced for his age. Another girl, maybe 14, sat at the dining table with headphones on, sketching in a notebook. Everyone looked up when he entered. No one spoke. Melinda appeared from the kitchen. Apron on, flour on her hands. "You came. I said I would." She smiled, wiped her hands on a towel. "Everyone, this is William. He's the one I told you about." "The one with the money," Marcus said flatly. "Marcus," Melinda warned. "What? That's what you said?" William didn't flinch. "He's right. I do have money. More than I know what to do with, honestly." That got their attention. One of the twins stood up, walked right up to him. "Are you going to take us away?" Her sister gasped. "Sophia." But Sophia didn't back down, just stared at William with eyes that demanded truth. "No," he said. "I'm here to make sure you can stay. Forever. As long as you want to. Adults always lie about forever. Then I'll prove I'm not lying." She studied him, then nodded, went back to her Legos. Melinda gestured to the couch. "That's David. He's 6. Loves books more than people." David peeked over his book, waved, went back to reading. "The artist is Ava, 14. Doesn't talk much." Ava pulled one headphone off, nodded, put it back. "There's Isaiah, 12. He's in the backyard with Caleb, and Lucia's upstairs. She's 8, doesn't speak. But she communicates. How? You'll see." Marcus crossed his arms, still standing by the door like a guard. "Why are you really here?" "To understand." "Understand what?" "What she's been doing. What you've all been surviving. We're not a charity case." "I know. Then what do you want?" William met his eyes. "I want to know why you stay. You're 16. You could leave, age out, make your own life. Why are you here?" Marcus's jaw tightened. "Because someone has to be." "That's not an answer. It's the only one that matters." They stared at each other. Then Marcus's shoulders dropped. Just slightly. "I was 13 when I got here. 5th home in 3 years. I'd been labeled angry, difficult, aggressive. No one wanted me." He looked at Melinda. "She took me anyway. Didn't try to fix me. Just let me exist. Gave me space. Gave me rules. Gave me something I'd never had." "What?" "Stability." William's throat tightened. Sophia appeared at his elbow. "Want to see what we're building?" "I'd love to." She dragged him to the floor. Her sister, Emma, explained the blueprint. A house, with rooms for everyone, windows drawn in crayon, a door that opened the right way. "This is going to be our new house," Emma said. "Miss Melinda said it's big, with a yard." "A real yard," Sophia added. "Not just concrete. It is real. I've seen the plans. Will we have our own room? You'll share, but it'll be bigger than this." They squealed. David climbed off the couch, limped over, didn't say anything, just handed William his book. William looked at the cover. The Giving Tree. "You like this one?" David nodded. "Why?" "Because the tree never stopped giving, even when it hurt." William's vision blurred. "Yeah, that's a good reason." The back door opened. 2 boys tumbled in, one older, one younger, both covered in dirt. "Isaiah, Caleb, we have a guest." Isaiah froze. Caleb hid behind him. "It's okay," Melinda said. "This is William, he's safe." Isaiah stepped forward, looked William up and down. "You the one buying the house?" "I am." "Why?" "Because Miss Melinda shouldn't have to work 2 jobs to keep you fed." "Is that our fault?" "No, it's the world's fault. I'm just trying to fix a small part of it." Isaiah considered this, then held out a dirty hand. "Thanks." William shook it. Caleb peeked around Isaiah's shoulder. "Do you like basketball?" "I used to play. Long time ago." "Want to shoot with us?" "Caleb, he's not here to..." Melinda started. I'd love to, William interrupted. They went outside. The hoop was barely attached to the wall. The ball was half deflated. The court was a cracked driveway. But Caleb's face lit up like Christmas. They played for 20 minutes. William missed more shots than he made. Caleb won by 15 points. Didn't matter. What mattered was the kid laughed. Really laughed. When they came back inside, Lucia was sitting on the stairs, small, quiet, holding a piece of paper. She stood when William walked in, walked right up to him, handed him the drawing. It was them, all of them. Melinda in the center, kids in a circle around her, and off to the side, a stick figure in a suit. Him. Is this me? William asked. Lucia nodded. Am I supposed to be there? She nodded again, then pointed to the circle. To the space between him and them. She wanted him closer. William knelt down. Can I keep this? She smiled. First time all day. Nodded. Dinner was chaos. Good chaos. Everyone talked at once. Argued over who got the last piece of garlic bread. Teased each other. Laughed at jokes William didn't understand. Melinda moved through it like a conductor, refilling plates, settling arguments, reminding someone to chew with their mouth closed. William sat between Marcus and Lucia. Marcus hadn't warmed up completely. But he'd stopped glaring. You really going to stick around? Marcus asked quietly. Yes. Adults say that a lot. I know. And then they disappear. I'm not going to disappear. How do you know? William looked at Lucia, at David reading beside his plate, at the twins arguing over whose turn it was to clear the table. Because I forgot what this felt like, and I'm not losing it again. Marcus was quiet for a long time. Then, barely audible, okay. After dinner, Melinda walked William to his car. The street was quiet. Sunday evening settling into night. Thank you, she said. For what? For seeing them. Really seeing them. Most people look at kids like this and see problems. You looked at them and saw people. That's because they are people. Incredible ones. She smiled. They're going to love that house. It's their house. They should. William opened his car door, stopped. Melinda, can I ask you something? Of course. Why didn't you ever tell anyone about what you were doing? She looked back at the house, lights glowing in every window. Because the moment I told someone, it became about me. And it was never about me. It was about them. It's always been about them. William got in his car, drove away with a drawing on his passenger seat, and a question he couldn't answer. How had he gone 20 years without seeing people like this? 6 months later, Capitol Hill, Seattle. The first North Sound Care kitchen stood on a corner lot that used to be a parking garage. Now it was glass and brick and light. Industrial kitchen visible through the windows. Tables inside that seated 50. A sign above the door that read, "Everyone eats here." News vans lined the street. Politicians in suits glad-handed each other near the entrance. Photographers positioned themselves for the ribbon cutting. William stood on a small stage. Microphone in front of him. Notes he wouldn't read. "Thank you for coming," he said. "This building represents something simple. People need food, people need support, and people need to be seen." He paused. 6 months ago, I followed someone home. I won't apologize for that because what I discovered changed my life. I found a woman who'd been working for me for 27 years, a woman who walked 40 minutes to and from work every single day, a woman who was raising 7 children on a waitress salary because the system had nowhere else to send them. Cameras flashed. Her name is Melinda Hargrove, and she's the reason this exists. He gestured toward the building. The North Sound Care kitchens employ caregivers, foster parents, people doing the impossible work of raising children who have nowhere else to go. We pay them fairly. We feed the kids. We provide support. We see them. A reporter called out, "Is Miss Hargrove here today?" William smiled. "She is, but she's not on this stage." He pointed toward the windows. Inside, visible to everyone, Melinda stood at a stove, apron on, stirring something in a pot the size of a small car. Kids surrounded her, some helping, some just being close. She wasn't watching the cameras. She was cooking. "That's who she is," William said. "She doesn't want recognition. She wants to feed people, so that's what we're letting her do." He stepped away from the microphone, walked inside. The reporters tried to follow. Security stopped them at the door. Inside, the noise was different. Laughter, silverware on plates, Conversations in 3 languages. William found Melinda at the stove. "You should be out there," she said without looking up. "I was. Now I'm here. They want to take your picture. They can take it through the window." She smiled. David appeared at William's elbow. 11 years old now, leg brace gone, surgery funded through the program. "Mr. Jack, you want to help serve?" "Absolutely." They worked the line together. William in a suit that cost more than most people's rent. David in a t-shirt with a cartoon dinosaur. No one cared about the difference. They just cared that everyone got fed. 3 months later, 8 North Sound care kitchens operated across Washington state. 34 caregivers employed full-time. 216 children fed daily. Melinda oversaw them all, but once a week, without fail, she returned to the original restaurant on Elliott Avenue, not to work, to visit. William met her there one evening, late. After closing, they sat at the counter where he'd first asked her to sit months ago. "Why do you keep coming back here?" he asked. "Because this is where it started, where you saw me, where everything changed. Do you miss it? The work? No. The people? Sometimes." She looked around the empty restaurant. "There are others like me here, people working doubles, people walking home, people surviving in the margins. I come back to remember what that felt like, so I don't forget." William nodded. They sat in silence. Then Melinda spoke again. "There's a man, Robert, works the evening shift, 72 years old, still on his feet 6 hours a day. I know Robert. He walks home, every night, hour and a half, because the bus costs $3 and he's saving for his granddaughter's surgery." William pulled out his phone. "What's his full name?" "Why?" "Because people still need to eat, and we still need to help." Melinda smiled, wrote down the name, handed it to him. "You can't save everyone." "No, but I can save someone, and that's enough to start." The North Sound Care Kitchens now operate in 12 locations. Melinda oversees a team of 51 caregivers. 338 children receive daily meals and support. William Jack visits every location monthly. He still works the original restaurant 1 shift per week, because people still need to eat, and we all still need to help. The 7 children Melinda raised? Marcus graduated high school, full scholarship to University of Washington, studying social work. Sophia and Emma are in middle school, honor roll. Both play soccer. David writes poetry, won a citywide competition last spring. Ava sold her first painting, donated half to the care kitchens. Isaiah and Caleb still play basketball. The hoop at their house works now. Lucia speaks now. 3 words at first, then sentences, then stories. Her first full sentence was, "Thank you for seeing us." Melinda still walks, not because she has to, because she wants to, because walking helped her see people others missed, and she never wants to stop seeing. Some heroes don't ask to be seen, so the least we can do is finally see them, and once you start seeing, you can't stop.